Another royal mystery, and this one comes with a twist you won't believe. Just minutes ago, news surfaced that a dog in Prince Andrew's old room wouldn't stop barking at a painting. But it wasn't just any painting. When Prince William stepped in and removed it, witnesses say he went pale. What could be hidden in a simple portrait that made the future king react like that? Could it be linked to family secrets, scandals, or something far more shocking? Join us as we dive into the unbelievable story behind the barking dog, the mysterious painting, and what this could mean for the royal family. The painting in Andrew's old room. What started out as an ordinary afternoon at the Royal Lodge quickly turned into a day filled with tension. One of the palace dogs had wandered into Prince Andrew's old room, a space that had been left mostly untouched since he stepped back from public duties. The dog suddenly froze in front of a large old painting hanging above the fireplace. Then it began barking relentlessly. The sound echoed through the hallway until Prince William arrived, confused and slightly irritated. He made all efforts to quiet the dog, but it continued to bark at the painting as though something was on the other side of the painting, making it uncomfortable. William, curious, came closer and pulled the frame away off the wall. The moment he did, his expression changed. For a split second, he looked as if all the color had drained from his face. Hidden behind the painting was a small space in the wall, almost like a forgotten compartment. Inside it, William found several items, documents, photographs, and things that suggested a connection to past events, but were never confirmed publicly. The royal family later decided not to reveal exactly what the evidence was, only revealing privately that the materials added more weight to concerns that had been looming over Andrew for years. Those close to the family revealed that the discovery did nothing but intensify the strain between William and his uncle, a tension that had been simmering for more than a decade. It has often been mentioned that Andrew struggled with jealousy.
8 or 10 of us, I think, at the dinner. If there was a party, then I'd know nothing about that.
Especially when Catherine's popularity began to soar. Experts told Fox News Digital that Andrew had once been seen as Queen Elizabeth II's favorite son, and losing that informal title to someone who married into the family was something he never fully accepted. They explained that Andrew had been known to make remarks about Kate that weren't particularly kind, and when William heard about them, he reportedly became furious. He was said to be deeply protective of his wife and told those around him that he would not tolerate any behavior from Andrew that could embarrass the family. Another royal commentator noted that William still harbored resentment from years past. He believed Andrew hadn't been welcoming when Kate was first introduced to the family, and he felt his father, King Charles, had been too lenient with Andrew in the aftermath of his controversies. For Andrew, the fall from grace was personally painful. Friends said he had always seen himself as the golden child, his mother's favorite, and when that image began to crumble, he grew even more resentful, especially as Kate became an adored figure for her calm nature and ability to connect with ordinary people. The release of Andrew Loney's unauthorized biography, entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York, only added fuel. The author wrote that Andrew had once been openly rude to Kate, and that the moment created a deep divide between him and William that never healed. Loney shared that he believed William had long been working behind the scenes to have Andrew removed from Royal Lodge.
And I think what's happened with Andrew and Sarah Ferguson is they've undermined the institution.
Because he felt Andrew posed a risk to the monarchy's reputation. Those who knew Kate insisted she had never given Andrew any reason to dislike her. They described her as someone who treated people kindly, which made Andrew's alleged behavior even more puzzling. Others suggested Andrew simply struggled with other people's success and may have felt overshadowed by William's growing respect within the family. Loney's book also painted Andrew as someone who lived extravagantly, jumping from foreign trips to unusual habits, owning a collection of stuffed toys, and occasionally speaking to staff in ways that left them shaken. But could this startling discovery signal the start of a reckoning that even Andrew may not be able to escape? Inside the royal rift. After the bizarre incident with the dog barking at a painting in Andrew's old room, tensions between Prince William and his uncle seemed only to deepen. The episode, which left William visibly concerned when he removed the painting, appeared to be a small but telling symbol of the strain quietly building between them. William increasingly sees Andrew not just as an awkward relative, but as a real threat to the monarchy's image. William has grown frustrated with how his father, King Charles, continues to keep Andrew and Sarah Ferguson within the family's inner circle, despite years of controversy surrounding them. Charles believes having Andrew and Fergie nearby somehow protects the family, but William and others reportedly see it differently.
It's terrible. I mean, you're going away and leaving what you love behind.
To them, their ongoing presence comes across as reckless and out of touch with public sentiment, with scandals around Andrew seeming never-ending. William wants to establish boundaries and create a clean break from anything that could harm the monarchy, while Charles is reluctant to distance himself from his brother. William feels the monarchy risks being tarnished if Andrew continues to appear at royal events, and this belief has shaped his increasingly cool interactions with his uncle. This tension became obvious at the recent funeral of the Duchess of Kent.
At his most recent public appearance, the Duchess of Kent's funeral, Andrew was seen trying to make small talk.
After the service, the royals assembled on the steps of Westminster Cathedral. Andrew attempted to converse with William, but he was polite, but very short in his answers, pointing to a definite limit. According to Jenny Bond, a royal expert, William drew rank in that particular instance, a subtle reminder to his uncle who has the authority in their relationship. She observed that the manner and the position of William indicated that he was not going to tolerate anything that he perceived as embarrassing or indecorous in public. Jenny elaborated that Andrew appears to be oblivious to the harm his reputation has caused, and the fact that he attempts to joke around in such serious occasions when the camera is focusing on them only proved this lack of awareness. Although Charles and other relatives might still tolerate Andrew, William is a representative of a generation that considers the public opinion and credibility of the institution to be the most important. Could the tension with William be only the beginning of a reckoning that finally forces Andrew to step back completely? Prince Andrew's royal dilemma. Some allegations have resurfaced concerning Prince Andrew that he sought help from a police officer to discredit Virginia Giuffre, the woman who accused him of inappropriate conduct with her when she was a teenager.
And this week, more revelations are expected from a book she wrote before taking her own life.
A royal source emphasized that these claims should be carefully examined through proper channels, highlighting the seriousness of the situation. Andrew believed that his actions and links to the late U.S. financier Jeffrey Epstein had received years of criticism, and he acknowledged that the ongoing accusations were becoming a distraction for the royal family, and that his actions could no longer overshadow their work and public image. The controversy intensified over the weekend when London's police force confirmed they were actively investigating a report published by the Mail on Sunday. The report alleged that in 2011, Andrew asked one of his personal protection officers to gather information on Giuffre. Buckingham Palace sources stated that these allegations should be properly examined, underscoring the need for transparency and due process. Adding to the renewed scrutiny is the imminent release of Giuffre's posthumous memoir, Nobody's Girl. According to excerpts obtained by the BBC, Giuffre recounts her experiences under Epstein's control and expresses the fear that she might have been subjected to exploitation. The book details 3 alleged intimate encounters with Andrew, including one involving Epstein and several other young women. It also claims that Andrew correctly identified Giuffre's age, 17, when they first met, and describes encounters that allegedly took place in London, New York, and on Epstein's private island. Andrew already settled a civil case with Giuffre in 2022. However,
and then on the day that she says that this occurred, they'd already left.
The revelations of the memoir have brought a fresh sense of scrutiny to his history, eliciting demands for accountability, particularly from the public and the media. These events are coupled with other negative issues affecting Andrew's reputation, such as a court decision last year that cast doubt on one of his close business associates, who was suspected of having ties to Chinese intelligence. Government officials and other prominent people weighed in on the matter, which has placed extra pressure. British Education Minister Bridget Phillipson indicated that she believed Andrew's decision to relinquish his titles was the correct course of action. She, however, made it clear that the issue of stripping him of the title of prince is not something determined by the government, but the prerogative of the royal family itself. Andrew has been in a very awkward position within the royal family due to legal scrutiny, revelations in the memoirs, and the ongoing attention from the public. He eventually withdrew some of his titles and state roles as a way to reduce the distraction his situation had caused, allowing the monarchy to remain focused on its duties and responsibilities to the public. These choices were a turning point in his life and are indicative of the mounting pressure to contextualize his past and navigate the glare of the press and publicity. But how far would the monarchy go to protect itself? King Charles officially strips Prince Andrew of titles and honors. Buckingham Palace has officially announced the stripping of Prince Andrew's titles. The process, which started on October 30th, was completed and made official on November 3rd, and represented a definite and formal break between Andrew and the monarchy. The decision was publicly confirmed through the publication of the letters patent in the Gazette, the United Kingdom's official public record. The document, issued under the Great Seal of the Realm, made clear that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor would no longer be entitled to use the style or title of Royal Highness or the titular dignity of Prince. This means that Andrew, 65, will now simply be known by the family surname, a move that significantly distances him from the royal institution he was once closely associated with. The decision was entirely King Charles's own, made under his royal prerogative. This legislative power enables the monarch to control some royal titles and honors on his own without Parliament's approval. It is stated that the king did not make this move lightly, as he knew the historical and personal significance of depriving a family member of such long-held royal privileges.
It is the maximization of my time for the best value for money.
In late October, the first palace announcement already indicated the gravity of the action, stating that Andrew would henceforth use the surname Mountbatten Windsor in all official and social contexts. This transformation, though being insignificant at face value, holds a symbolic meaning. It can be seen as the desire of the monarchy to create a strong boundary between the personal scandals of Andrew and the image of the royal family as a whole before the people. This action sends a message to the people and the international community that the family is taking proactive actions to protect its integrity, despite the need to make some tough personal choices. It is not the first time the monarchy had to navigate complicated situations in which the actions of family members put the confidence of people in question. Removing his titles on record, King Charles is making a very definite statement. Andrew is still a member of the family by blood, but he will no longer enjoy the privileges and honors which bind him directly to the crown.
He's by no means a pauper, but his £20,000 a year pension, frankly, isn't going to cut it.
Legal and royal analysts note that the letters patent is an ancient tool that enables the sovereign to be as specific and powerful in such changes. It is both a symbolic and a practical device, as it makes sure that the status of Andrew is officially changed, but the final power of the king over the titles of royalty is stressed. To Andrew, the transition to being simply called Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is a drastic one. It symbolizes an individual as well as collective recognition of the scandals that have tarnished his name over the years, and an indication of the monarchy to uphold its honor, honesty, and relation to the subjects it represents. Will Prince Andrew quietly accept the stripping of his titles, or is there a battle looming behind palace doors? Putting family and duty first. In a statement reflecting on his current situation, Andrew explained that after extensive discussions with King Charles, as well as his immediate and extended family, it had become clear that the ongoing allegations against him were creating a distraction from the work and responsibilities of the monarchy. He emphasized that his priority has always been the welfare of the royal family and the nation, and that this principle guided his decisions 5 years ago when he first chose to step back from public life. He reaffirmed that even now, he remains committed to putting duty to his family and country above all else. Andrew said, with the consent of His Majesty, that more must be done to relieve the family of the royal household and to save its reputation in the sight of the people. Consequently, he affirmed that he will henceforth agree to stop using titles.
Prince Andrew will be formally stripped of his royal titles. He is no longer a prince.
Or honors that had been bestowed to him over the years. He made it clear that this decision is consistent with his long-standing commitment to step away from public duties and that it reflects his understanding of the broader implications for the monarchy. Despite these changes, Andrew maintained that he continues to deny the accusations that have been made against him. He underscored that his choice to relinquish his titles and honors is not an admission of guilt, but rather a step he feels is required to protect the reputation and work of the royal family. The statement incorporated a balanced approach in protecting his own stance, as well as recognizing the need to protect the institution against further diversion. So, what will be Andrew's new reality without his titles and honor? Andrew's life without his royal title. Following the announcement of Andrew's titles being revoked, Buckingham Palace stated that he, now known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, will surrender his lease at the Royal Lodge, a residence he had occupied under a legal arrangement that allowed him to continue living there. The palace added that formal notice had been served and that Andrew would relocate to a private property on the Sandringham estate in Norfolk, with the move to be funded privately by the king. The statement emphasized,
Prince and Buckingham Palace have not commented, and Andrew has always vehemently denied
that these were undertaken despite Andrew's continued denial of the serious charges pressed against him, and stressed that these actions were considered necessary to safeguard the monarchy's reputation. Sarah Ferguson, Andrew's ex-wife, will also leave the Royal Lodge and arrange alternative accommodations for herself. The palace confirmed that Andrew would receive a private provision from the king, while any other personal income would remain his responsibility. The removal of his titles also affects his honors, including the Order of the Garter and the Royal Victorian Order. While he had already stopped using the HRH style in 2022, it had not previously been formally removed. Andrew's daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, retain their titles, consistent with historical royal rules established in 1917. Royal sources indicate that the king took this step now because they see repeated lapses in judgment by Andrew, despite his denials. The palace had previously announced in mid-October that Andrew would voluntarily stop using the Duke of York title and relinquish some of his honors. However, members of Parliament pressed for formal action, questioning the terms of Andrew's residence at the 30-room Royal Lodge, including the symbolic peppercorn rent he paid. The king decided to do it personally, without consulting Parliament, and to leave the lawmakers to concentrate on more important national issues.
Peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time.
The Lord Chancellor received royal warrants to strip Andrew of his peerage and other titles, and consulted with the appropriate government authorities. The government has expressed support for the decision. The family of Virginia Giuffre celebrated the move, saying that her relentless effort and bravery had compelled accountability, and highlighting that they will keep fighting to ensure that justice prevails in the case of all victims of Epstein and those of his associates. They described the decision as a milestone in acknowledging the challenges faced by survivors. Public figures also weighed in. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch acknowledged the personal difficulty for the king, but emphasized the importance of not tolerating allegations of harmful acts. Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy described the step as both brave and necessary, sending a message of support to those affected. In the meantime, a few American legislators have been calling on Andrew to cooperate with investigations of the Epstein criminal network in all aspects. Congressman Suhas Subramanyam emphasized that giving up titles is not sufficient, and that Andrew has a duty to disseminate information that would aid in discharging justice on the victimized individuals, and that the case remains the issue of international concern. How far will Prince William go to protect the monarchy from the shadows of his uncle's past? The Royal Divide. William is insisting the ongoing revelations about Andrew should not be met with leniency, emphasizing that the monarchy cannot appear tolerant of questionable behavior from within its own ranks. Royal expert Hilary Fordwee told Fox News that Prince William and Princess Catherine's zero-tolerance approach was already transforming royal family dynamics. She explained that they were working proactively behind the scenes to address scandals, enforcing a higher level of discipline aimed at protecting the monarchy's future by excluding those who might threaten its reputation in any way. Reports suggested that Charles and William are not entirely aligned when it comes to dealing with Andrew and his former wife, Sarah Ferguson. William believes his uncle and former aunt-in-law are a public embarrassment and has been pressing his father to act decisively.
Thank you all so much. Thank you very much.
William feels strongly that the optics of Andrew and Fergie appearing carefree at public events send the wrong message, describing it as damaging to the monarchy's reputation. By contrast, Charles is reportedly more hesitant to completely sever ties with his brother and ex-sister-in-law. The late Queen had always maintained a more forgiving approach toward Fergie, recognizing her as the mother of her granddaughters, and Charles seems to have inherited some of that perspective. However, the conflict between the father and son regarding this matter indicates a larger generational gap, as William suggests a more current method with accountability and publicity in mind. It is believed that the king might restrict the involvement of Andrew and Fergie in high-profile royal occasions. This could include excluding them from traditions such as the annual Christmas Day walkabout, a staple occasion where the royal family greets crowds outside Buckingham Palace. William has been demanding that the couple be required to leave their residence at Royal Lodge in Windsor, a step seen as the minimum necessary to maintain the monarchy's credibility in the eyes of the public. Although Buckingham Palace has not made any official comments on the issue, it is obvious that the family argument is a personal and institutional issue. William takes this position with an intention of safeguarding the image and integrity of the royal family, so that the past controversies do not repeat themselves and impact the institution. Charles, meanwhile, is torn between loyalty to the family and the increasing necessity to make decisive action, a balancing act that has always characterized the problems of modern monarchy. With the family navigating these very sensitive issues, it has been indicated that William is ready to go the extra mile and demand tangible action, such as limiting Andrew and Fergie to royal responsibilities and appearances in the public. In the case of the heir to the throne, it is of utmost importance to preserve the monarchy's image and to show accountability, even when making hard personal choices. The discussions that are still going on prove that it was a critical turn in the royal family, as it saw not only the burden of family loyalty, but the burden of responsibility to the people. Will this finally mark the end of Andrew's public role, or is there more turbulence still ahead for the royal family? William prepares to limit Andrew's role forever. The Prince of Wales is far from satisfied with how the situation surrounding his uncle, Prince Andrew, has been handled. Even after Andrew, the former Duke of York, stepped back from public life and was stripped of his royal titles and honors, including the title of Duke of York, William is understood to believe that the measures taken so far are insufficient. The ongoing controversy over Andrew's links to the disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein continues to cast a shadow over the royal family, and William reportedly wants to take a far more decisive approach. According to the Sunday Times, the heir to the throne is already planning stricter restrictions on Andrew's involvement in royal life. William intends to ban his uncle from attending key future events, including his eventual coronation, as well as other public and private royal functions. While William was consulted when Andrew forfeited his title as Duke of York,
hug and public displays of affection are not something that I do.
He sees the Andrew problem as an issue that will require direct, no-nonsense intervention once he becomes king. William has long been understood to favor firm action regarding the ongoing controversy, believing that half measures could undermine the monarchy's credibility. According to Tom Sykes, the prince was particularly frustrated by what he considers weak leadership from his father's team. Sykes noted that William was angry when Andrew's own statement, announcing that he would no longer use the Duke of York title, was issued in Andrew's name, rather than being framed as a firm directive from the king. William reportedly felt that the announcement should have come directly from the crown to assert authority clearly, rather than leaving the impression that Andrew was merely stepping back on his own terms. The Sunday Times reports that William was also appalled by what he interpreted as a defiant tone in Andrew's announcement. It is rumored that he sees this as emblematic of broader problems within the current royal leadership, and that he is now going to be more assertive in ensuring that such an occurrence does not happen again in the future. Royal observers note that William's approach marks a generational shift in how the monarchy handles internal controversies. In contrast to the past, when decision-making could have been based on personal loyalty and individual discretion, William is determined to ensure that accountability and public perception are central to the tough decisions made within the family.
We keep up a firm pace because there's so much to do, there are so many opportunities.
By indicating that he is prepared to adopt a no-compromise attitude towards Andrew, William is also positioning himself as someone who is prepared to take extreme measures to ensure the integrity of the monarchy and its reputation among the people. Now that Andrew has relinquished his titles, what does the future hold for him? Could Andrew's exit finally restore the crown's reputation, or is the damage already done? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.